Looking for a bank you can trust? Look no further than Home Trust Bank, the premier banking service provider of our region and dedicated sponsor of Talking Ship.
Jeff, did you know that for nearly 100 years, Home Trust Bank has been building relationships with customers based on integrity and trust? Whether you need an account, investment help, or a home or business loan, they've got you covered.
I did. I actually refinanced my house with Home Trust. Headquartered in Asheville, Home Trust employs people who live in our neighborhoods and care deeply about our community.
Choose Home Trust Bank for all your financial needs, because when it comes to banking, trust matters. Visit them today at hdb.com.
Let's talk some ship!
Woo!
Greetings, shipheads, and welcome to Talkin' Ship, the Venture Asheville podcast, where we talk about issues and topics in entrepreneurship. We are the Venture Asheville team. Venture Asheville is the high-growth entrepreneurship initiative of the Economic Development Coalition for Asheville-Buncombe County. We build entrepreneurs and get startups funded. I'm Jeffrey Kaplan, this ship's captain, director of Venture Asheville, lover of all the news Poppy Popcorn is getting. Woo! Ginger Frank, founder and co-CEO, was on our episode 4 in season 2. Anyway, the more successful people get, their legend can get larger, and as a result, the details get smaller. So if you look at Poppy Popcorn today, you're going to see a lot of news about a huge fundraising round for their Series A and all the jobs they're going to be creating in Buncombe County. We're thrilled for them. But if you want an in-depth dive of her story, how she went from making flower arrangements to making popcorn to the growth of her company, check out season 2, episode 4, and you'll get a real deep insight and look behind the curtain of a very exciting and high-profile local startup. With me, as always, is the wonderful, smart, talented, considerate, creative Juliana Moon Walker, our master of interactive media. Jay Walker, what's good?
Oh, things are going all right over here. I'm adjusting to the time change.
Wow, way to just meet my energy on this show. That is.
I'm moody today, Jeff. I will admit.
This is the dynamic people have grown to love. I build them up and you let them down.
Yeah,
So
I like to bring them down to a realistic level. I like to bring a lot of negative energy.
They come here for realism. They come here for an escape.
Okay, fine. I'm doing amazingly over here.
Find out how the best entrepreneurs in the community are doing it, and then you let them know it's all smoke and mirrors.
It is. No. I'm doing fine. I mean, I'm just adjusting to the time change, and it was beautiful early spring weather for the past few weeks, and then today it's snowing. So I'm just trying to get into that vibe again. Okay, that's all.
Hey, you have a background in journalism, and you literally have a master's in interactive media. That's what we call it, the master of interactive media. Yeah. Do you know the term newsjacking?
I think so. I don't know if I've heard that one.
I learned this term from Carl Darby at Darby Communications. Newsjacking is when there's something happening in the news and you make it about you, like you jump on top of the story. And
okay, so what are we going to make about you today?
A newsjacking thing. I'm trying to make a new LinkedIn post because with SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, first people were posting about panic or withdrawals or what they're going to do or their hot takes. And then yesterday, first of all, everyone's been made whole. Like if you're a depositor, you have all your cash, you can get it out of the bank. Like FDIC took care of it. But I'm seeing all these founders posting online, newsjacking, saying, some guys writing newsletters, some are doing posts that say something like, I just want to let all my friends, family, and investors know we had zero exposure into SVB. We are completely fine. We had nothing in this bank, nothing in that bank. Do not worry about your cash or investment. And that is newsjacking.
Okay. It's a great example.
And so I'm trying to make a joke like, I just want to let all of my friends and family and stakeholders in Venture Asheville know I personally had no cash in SVB. I just don't know if that joke's going to land being here in Asheville, North Carolina, so far removed from the Bay Area banking crisis happening.
I think it could land.
If anyone has any tips
I'll get it.
to land that joke, I think the premise is strong. This is how I felt about Chris Rock's special. Good premises, poor punchlines.
Amen.
Kind of repetitive. Anyway, this is not what people listen to us. They listen to us because today we have a power couple. It's not you and me, Jay Walker.
Oh.
Our guests today are a power couple. They live together. They work together. They go out to eat in the best restaurants together.
Oh.
They studied for this podcast late at night together.
That's totally what they were doing last
They
night.
they are the greeters, the welcomers, the environment enablers at Hatch Coworking. I am tickled pink to welcome Erika Gifford and Sean Comeaux to talk ship with us. Erika and Sean, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi, guys. We're excited to be here.
And that was really what we were doing. I have the recording on my phone.
I'm so proud of you.
You even made me listen back to
We're not just on
thing.
any podcast.
We've never had anybody practice for this podcast before.
Jeff Kaplan's podcast.
Yeah.
You sent us the questions at like 11 at night.
Yeah.
No, Jay and I were just talking about this. I sent questions at around 8
10:36. 10:36.
She replied at 10:30.
10:38. There's an email.
10:38.
Let's start talking about work-life balance. No. We need to set the stage for who you are and the way things are connected. Because I was thinking about this. If you're new to the area, you see the word Hatch and a bunch of things, and that structure and ownership and governance is probably confusing. All right, so let's break it down real quick. You guys are the partners, and essentially, I don't want to say managers. This is your venture, right? You're partners with the landlord, Charlie Ball. Your responsibility is, you have more about Hatch Coworking, right?
Yes.
These are desks, hot desks, conference rooms, private offices, breakout rooms, all kinds of great stuff. So that's like kind of like the inner circle. Outside of that, you guys are at the Hatch building. The building has the same name as the coworking. The building
Very
also
lazy.
has
Very lazy.
very lazy.
Or
It should be the Ball building. But you also have Pollen Coffee Shop, Little B Thai, and then the rest of it is all Hatch. So Hatch is his umbrella name for that building at 45 South French Broad. And then there's an adjacent nonprofit called the Hatch AVL Foundation with a DBA for Hatch Innovation Hub, of which Hatch Coworking is a partner. I mean, it's not like a subsidiary. Hatch Coworking is its own LLC. We all share the same brand equity because of the same, I guess, similar mission of entrepreneurship in the region.
So it's like Hatch is Capitol Records and we're Lil Wayne. And EcoBot is
We're Johnny
Fleetwood
and
Mac.
June. Yeah, we're Johnny and June.
whatever. We're just signed to the record label.
I don't understand any of these references. Not one's landing with me.
Fleetwood Mac?
Johnny Cash and June Carter.
I'm just
my wife's
saying-
a big fan of Fleetwood Mac. She and I had a whole fight about this on our sabbatical because we were listening to Fleetwood on the road in one of our road trips. And I told her I've never heard a Fleetwood Mac song that I cared for. I know it's a real hot take.
Yeah.
I think ABBA is a far superior band to
I
Fleetwood
love
Mac.
ABBA, but
I put those two head to
I
head.
mean, would you listen to Fleetwood Mac while you're riding a skateboard drinking cranberry juice? You can try that. I don't know.
yeah,
All right, we
it's a
put it that
magical
way.
experience.
Well, all right. So
We
I
go
don't want
viral.
to say it's incestuous, but there's huge benefit to the co-location of a nonprofit, a facility, and co-working and event space all in one building because it enables so much activity, of which you two are really so key in the orchestration and enablement of. So you've built this incredible community. I want to dive into the community at Hatch Coworking. It permeates the whole Hatch building and all the nonprofits, and everyone that touches Hatch goes through this environment that you guys have created, the experience that you've enabled. So I want to ask you, what are the elements to building an intentional, fun, and growing community?
The elements, I guess, what we have done that I think no one had ever really intentionally done here before was to bring in the arts to this professional community. So we partnered with the Asheville Symphony Orchestra, still in the pandemic before they had done any concerts at all. And they were doing the symphony in the park. And they called us in a panic because they didn't have any volunteers. So we said, hey, coworkers, who's here who wants to go pour some beer and put on a t-shirt and show up for the symphony? And it was so beautiful to see live music and outdoors with people, great
Pandemic,
suns,
wasn't it?
but also like
Everyone was wearing masks in the park.
Yeah, right. It was
it was
that time
happening.
of our lives. Yeah.
Was what was happening. But through that, we've seen a great connection for our coworkers to be able to volunteer and to experience great
Mm-hmm.
music, etc., and the arts, and we've developed that into working with the Diana Wortham Theater, the
Mhm.
YPA.
Yeah, but our growth like really upticked like the third month we were there.
Yeah, it's
So-
Yes.
true.
When did you guys start? Because there was, Charlie started this, had this hole in the building. He turned into co-working. Charlie Ball, the landowner, and then one of the co-workers stepped up to kind of manage the membership, give tours, and sign people up for desks. He left, I guess, in early 2020, like left town, right? Sometime in
We
2020.
never met that guy. Oh, you mean Boyce?
Yeah,
Yes.
Boyce left, and then you guys came in at what? Like when in 2020 did you guys start managing? Like who says
Was it
middle of a
was-
pandemic, public health crisis, I'm going into co-working?
It was 2 years
Oh,
ago.
Dan, you're here.
It was 2 years ago, and
So March 21
was March
is when you guys came into
2020, right?
co-working.
You have this data.
I have all the data. I just
All
have
right,
been
so
going
you
through all the
started,
data.
to make it clear. So 1 year into the pandemic,
We were two of
Mhm.
6 members at the time, and they didn't know each other's names. They were wearing
Yeah.
masks. They'd been there. They like stuck it out, but they didn't even know each other's names. So looking at that, we said, my goal immediately was to get people needed friends. They were so lonely. Everybody was so lonely and
Mhm.
depressed. We still see the after effects of that, and when people come in here, we had somebody
Sure.
that came in yesterday or a couple of days ago for a tour, and they teared up and they were like, I just need to get out of the house. I'm so isolated.
On mental health.
Yeah, for mental health, because there's some people that are still at home because you get in a pattern,
So I guess that's the heartbeat of it. Is we knew people were lonely. We were lonely, and so that was one of the first things that we did was wine and cheese, which seemed
Right.
so faux pas at the time, and it still goes on today and has a life of its own. If there's no wine and
Every
cheese,
Thursday afternoon at 4:00, open at
Uh-huh.
5. You guys do wine and cheese,
There's
happy hour
one.
kind of thing.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that was the first thing we did. And at first, people were like I don't know, deers coming to your hand. They were like, "Is this safe?"
Right.
And then,
Bless you.
yeah, and the first time we literally sat there by ourselves, like eating wine and cheese, showing people how to do these things, and then they came and
you got to realize, you have to realize, right? This is like before you started doing that, it's a happy hour beer town. Go to the brewery or bring in a keg. And you guys are like, actually, we're going to sit down and talk to each other meaningfully over wine and cheese. You're like, I don't know about this. You guys are crazy.
It's weird.
Beer upsets my tummy.
All right.
Yeah,
So I think if I go a little deeper, what makes a community is, whether it's arts or whatever it is, it's the external ties that add meaning to your time, and you create mechanisms for people to develop meaning in their lives. So whether it's through social connections at a wine and cheese hour, or if it's giving back and volunteering with the arts community, you're creating ways for people to develop meaning in their lives. But a big part of it is also, you guys throw a hell of a party that people want to come to. So I want to dive in there. I find you guys do this so well. What are the elements to throwing a great party? And what are some of the parties you've had in the past? Some of your greatest hits?
Oh, greatest hits. Okay. One of my favorites was when Darko from the Symphony came, and I found out what one of his favorite foods was, and I actually made, what is it called?
Tacos and banana peels.
Yeah, tacos and banana peels. I had never made anything.
Banana leaves.
And banana leaves. Yeah. Banana leaves. But he came and he talked about his inspiration behind the symphony. It felt like a TED Talk, like that just happened. That was one of my favorites.
It was
Cool.
Bigger parties.
One of my personal favorites is Brondage and Danielle, Tyler Koch. I was able to, I was able to get both of them to come, and they met. They had seen each other in passing
St. Patty's
somewhere.
Day. St. Patty's Day.
It was it St. Patty's or was it Mardi Gras? It was Mardi Gras. It was Mardi Gras. And Ron DJ came with this like purple hat on. He was ready to go. And Tyler, he came with his Paiza shirt on, smelling like pizza. Anyways, they met and they, ended up being our two kickoff 1 million cups people.
And then the grand opening.
Oh, no way. It goes back to that. I didn't realize that's where we're going with it.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Where did you think we were going? Because you were saying, I know where you're going.
I was thinking at the holiday party, which was, I guess, in December of 2022, I was chatting with those guys. And then I think at like 2 or 3 a.m., I got a text message from Paiza of all of you together eating pizza very late at night.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that too.
I was writing notes for what I think. I was like carrots and hummus because I keep trying to talk him into putting carrots and hummus. I was writing it on his whiteboard.
Good luck with that. Tyler's. We just did his episode last week, and he's going to tell you why he would never do that pizza for you. It's just
that's not a pizza. That's not a pizza. That's just like an add-on. I'm trying to up his ticket price.
All right, go back to this. So, what makes a great party? What are the greatest hits? So you do a Mardi Gras party, you do a St. Patty's Day party, you've done Thanksgiving and end of your holiday stuff.
Really, it's inviting all sorts of key partners. We have a great caterer that we work with, Cheryl Brookhausen. She was just on the Food Network on the Gingerbread Showdown.
Did you win?
And then I can't. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
All right, sounds like a no. Not have her serve gingerbread cookies at this party.
It's just really trying to bring people together and what do you think? Great food, great drinks.
Well, how about the intentional inviting you do, right? Because your parties are so well attended and everyone's always so friendly. Like other parties you go to or other nonprofit things I go to, it can be cliquey. So what is it about your invite list that the Bears Smokehouse thing you also did at Halloween was like one of the best parts I've been to in years. So what goes into it?
Oh, it was fun.
I don't know. I can't tell you what the creative sauce is there, but like so this St. Patrick's Day, which is Friday, I was feeling uninspired and I'm like, I'm just doing this because I did it last year and the year before. I have to do it. And then Cheryl Brookhausen sent me this awesome menu.
Menu.
And I was like, here we go. Now I've got the
talk about the menu a little bit because it seems like so not over the top, but like it's outrageous that this isn't a paid ticket, that you're just letting members come in.
But so we are also sort of exclusive in who we invite, because like we want the best to get together. And we don't just invite anybody, but we also try to invite everybody. Yeah. So
yeah. Well, and the goal is to have coworkers mingling with elected officials and people that wouldn't necessarily connecting to help inspire growth and change for this area, for the positive. That's the end goal. Eliminate loneliness. Yeah, but we like to have a good time. So
we do a lot of events at the Chamber and the EDC and Venture Asheville, and one of the things we benchmark from like the Metro Economy Outlook at the Grove Park Inn to the Venture 15 at the Orange Peel is our catering price per person. Thank you. So I don't know if you can share if you're comfortable, like for Mardi Gras, for example, can you share, because it's like, what is your like cost per person in catering? Because I feel like you guys do not skimp. Like you really go all out, and it shows.
Some of it does. Like I'm always like bringing it down the budget. But like Mardi Gras, we cooked.
Yeah. Okay.
Every time we do that.
So that event was budgeted at $750, believe it or not. And St. Patrick's Day was sort of budgeted at $750 plus like merch costs, which I don't know. Where I'm from, there's a Patrick's Day. So
we've got cute little tennis like white hats with green
1912 baseball
embroidered,
caps.
available on our website for $20
Yeah.
today.
Cost us 30. Anyway.
The budget.
No, so it's like 10 to 15 per person. I think 20 per person.
That's not bad.
That's not.
That's really, we struggle with that all the time. Cool. How, like, you guys are also the key organizers to 1 million cups. What's 1 million cups? When is it? Should I go? And how does that play into the overall strategy of co-working and community?
1 million cups is an meal sharing event that happens every Wednesday. We feature a business that has not been in business for longer than 5 years. So it's generally startups. Most of the concepts are quite developed. And we try and feature as many tech companies that are starting here as possible. One of the goals that we have, in general, as the Hatch Innovation Hub, is to bring more tech-based economy to this area for the future growth of Western North Carolina. And it's a great community. 50 to 70 people are showing up every single week. And we record it. So if you want to check it out on YouTube, you just go to 1 Million Cups AVL and you can kind of pre-check it out. But it's an amazing community of people. It brings people into the space every week. You said something about the benchmarks of creating community, and really it's like those like events that happen every single week. Showing up and doing them every single week is part of like the key components to creating community.
Jeff,
I certainly made a lot of friends from 1 Million Cups. It was the first thing I went to when I moved here in 2016. I'm glad you guys stepped up in the leadership of that organization. And it's honestly like where I go to meet people. If someone's new to town and like, where do I start? How do I get involved? Like, go to 1 Million Cups. I'll meet you there, introduce you to 10 people you need to know.
That's a great recipe. It's been great. And it has been, I just knew from my experience with 1 Million Cups in other cities, I knew it would be something that, one, should be here, and two, would have such a different draw. And it's a totally different stream. It's its own stream. It feeds its own self. But at the same time, everyone else in this building benefits. So
yeah, when you called me to talk about it, Sean, I had literally been waiting all day for that phone call.
Whatever.
Just waiting by my phone, waiting for Sean Comeaux.
Are you sure?
Anyway, 1 Million Cups every Wednesday, 9 to 10 a.m. Free cup of coffee, occasionally donuts and other snacks. And people are bringing in cookies and other treats all the time, which is always cool. What's your favorite part of this job?
The people. Watching like connections happen outside of like all the events we do. So like some of our coworkers have like started a bowling league, which is great for them. I'm not gonna bowl. I don't want to break a nail. But I'm so excited that they are out there like connecting outside of that. It's like, yeah, we built a lot of systems, basically a platform with all the growth. Okay, so bring it back to like August, then we were thinking we would be opening by the end of the year. So I realized with all of the growth that we had, initiated, that we needed a platform to manage people. So I found a platform that works with a locking system, the blah, 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 blah. So like connecting all of that has been a great joy as well. But within the platform, we have a stream. So people can post like, hey, who wants to go to lunch at Whole Foods? And watching those connections happen has been really powerful.
Yeah, it's definitely the community that builds itself, but it wasn't doing itself, right? Without our sort of prompting, because like I said, it was like deers coming up to you, eating out of your hand. So we sort of created this environment where, this is just what we do. And so they started doing that themselves, like Dan and Vera, this well-played game night now that they do that is ongoing. The bowling league, for instance. Then we have not just this community, but powerhouse people getting together and starting businesses. Nobel Chang and Brian Gabor are doing this mental health app. And that's just inspired by them talking about what they do and what they do well. And then they're like, hey, I've got this idea. Great. I don't know how many people Blake Janelle has talked to. He's one of the founders of DuckDuckGo.
Right.
And another thing is that these people stay around. They don't leave. And I don't know what, there's some kind of golden handcuffs. It's community, it's the event benefits, it's the free everything. I don't know.
I think we have such a high in-migration in our area. We know that for sure, high in-migration, right? And so people tend to have a giving mentality, looking to put down roots. I think it's a testament to how rewarding the community you've developed is, that it's sticky. I think that's a hard thing to quantify, but I think you can. If you look at like churn rates or average churn for co-working and how your numbers are growing and how you're retaining so many members, I think that's the way to quantify that the experience is highly tuned and you've got the right recipes, so that you figured out the right secret sauce there. So that brings me down a whole bunch of more questions I want to ask you guys. Can we get into the numbers briefly? You started in March 21 with 6 members. What was your membership look like as of January, February 2023?
Currently, we have, I believe, about 170 members.
It's awesome.
And it's growing.
Yeah.
I just, for this podcast, went back through like all of the pre-pandemic numbers and kind of found an average. There wasn't a lot of growth pre-pandemic. So with the average there, we are up 147% all time as of today.
That would put you, if you were in the last year's Venture 15, as the 3rd fastest growing startup by growth rate.
I like this.
Have we not been invited? Do you know someone who can get us in?
We got to apply. Anyway, so in Hatch Coworking, you have flex desks, private offices, and like private suites, like bigger ones. And now you have like full on like offices that fit 15, 20 people.
Yes. And we also have 10 phone booths. We're currently in a meeting room.
12 phone booths.
Well, you're cutting these two as phone booths. This is a meeting room.
Sorry.
Those are phone booths.
Thank you for being so accurate on this audio podcast where no one watches the video. So thank you, Sean.
Yeah. But all of these we have like state-of-the-art soundproof phone booths that are ventilated, lit.
I've taken a lot of calls in there. I've done TikToks where I'm yelling from there. Those booths are great.
They're so cool.
And there's one man who has done so much for this space. So you're going from 5,000 square feet to 20,000 square feet. Is that right? If you count all the offices?
Well, all of Hatch 2.0 is 20,000 square feet, but we expanded another 5,000.
Really? Feels bigger. Anyway, so you're doubling size. You've got all this great, like, it's some of the nicest furniture and furnishings and textures and the chairs, like everything in that new space is, I think, first of all, it's like a very premier level.
Thank you.
And I've been to, I think, every co-working or every hub in the state for sure. Been to ones in Charleston, Atlanta, Chattanooga, Nashville, and Knoxville. I haven't been like the Triad or the Tri-Cities or anything. But anyway, point is, I think when people look at what you've built in Hatch Coworking, it is absolutely on par with best in the region. It's shiny, it's sparkling, it's new. The tech is great, connectivity is awesome. In those booths you're in, there's wireless chargers. I mean, seriously, every chair is comfortable. It's designed so well for breakout space and in-depth space and private space and communal space. Like, just, I think people are going to travel when they're in the area and they're traveling through the area. They're going to pop in just to like get a whiff of that trend. Like, what is the next new thing? And so Charlie Ball, owner of the building, and your partner in this business, has solely financed this whole thing. And we can't say enough about that, right? Every ecosystem has some kind of philanthropist that, whether it does some endowment or some huge foundation, that is making all the activity happen in that startup ecosystem. We've never had one, right? Asheville doesn't have one. What we do have is Charlie, who is, I mean, he's put himself out there. Like grants aren't coming in, foundations aren't coming in to support this. It is all through one sole entrepreneur who has invested so much, and it's so beautiful, and I'm so excited for the payoff he's going to receive. And that's why we gave him the Venture Asheville Vanguard Award. The joke at the time was like, time will tell, was this a big mistake or a great bet? But I think that like you guys are already pre-sold on every private office.
Yes, they're all gone.
True. They're all gone, and we're building 2 more.
Awesome.
Charlie,
what's it like working with Charlie? He tells me his number 1 rule of business is to be humble, and number 2 is to hire great people and get out of the way. He didn't just hire you guys; he made you all like full business partners in this venture. What's it like working with Charlie?
It's such a blessing. I mean, Charlie is so wise, and we talked about this last night. He's really fluid. So when he was working on the plans for the new space in Hopi, and I was like, Charlie, we just have, everybody wants a private office. We have no private offices. This is the demand. Mm-hmm. He then revamped all the plans, added like, 8 more offices or something. It's like, okay. So just, being so fluid in real time, and he is the hardest working man I think we've ever met. He doesn't ever sit down.
He's the guy with the most money and overalls. Like he's moving furniture.
Right.
So
he's so inspiring.
It's inspiring to see. Yeah.
He embodies a trait I've seen with other like business owners. So I'm thinking of Mark Ledyard, who was the owner of Charlotte Street Animal Hospital. I met him once, and he said he doesn't want people who come to the animal hospital to know it's his hospital. He wants the experience you have with any vet you see, that they have the autonomy and the ownership and the credibility that you just assume it's their hospital. And when you see Charlie, right, he's not out there trying to say, this is my building. Look what I did for the community. Look what I'm building here. Look at this legacy. Look at all these connections and how this ecosystem wouldn't happen without this. He's not out there being in front of it. He is more than happy to be anonymous in the overalls, changing a light bulb, while, Sean and Erika are out there mingling and opening bottles of wine and making sure people have cheese on their plates. And I think it's an incredible trait.
It is. And it's, fortunately, it's so rare. Mm-hmm. Because you get to appreciate it. For someone, it's so rare that I've never met anybody like Charlie before. I have heard about people like Charlie, but I have never met anybody like Charlie. And I get the good fortune of working alongside him, with him, for him. It's just great. And Troy Ball too, who actually came up with Hatch, the idea, and his wife.
That's right. Troy did. Yeah. No, you watch her brainy pitch from 1 Million Cups on the YouTube channel. Now, we say typically that crises create the greatest opportunities. And when you go back to the 2008-09 recession, every startup or every technology, every part of our life today, almost all of it came out of that recession, from the Ubers, the Airbnbs, and MailChimps. Like so many of those technologies that are integral into our life came out of that time. And going back to the early pandemic days, we've been saying, like, keep an eye out on what's rising through the pandemic. If you can make your business work and become integral to people's lives during the pandemic, you're going to own the next decade or two. Like, you will own the next life cycle, the business life cycle of our economy or our region. Do you think that's what's happening at Hatch Coworking? That you figured out the recipe during a pandemic, and now you really can't throw anything at you to shake a business?
Oh, geez, don't jinx us.
But... Yeah, don't do that, Jeff. I mean, like an economic collapse, or perhaps another pandemic.
So financial futures are one of the things. No concern in banking right now. It's fine.
Yeah, one of the things we did do was because we put more offices in, because we noticed that was the first thing to fill up, sort of as people were coming out. So the offices filled up, and then we didn't have enough to offer. And then community building, which people that was not a commodity at that time, like having friends and talking to other people that weren't your family. So we dove in on that.
Let's answer Jeff's question, though.
I thought that was.
I think not. Whatever. You guys are doing great.
I think that, like, everybody did go remote during the pandemic and then got really lonely. So co-working has we've literally built community. This is community. So I feel like this is definitely, you know, a safe bet for the next 10 to 20 years, because people have wanted to be in intentional communities as well. You know, like talking with elected officials to hopefully create change, or going to the symphony, living a fuller life, you know. Am I saying, I don't know if I said it right, but yeah.
I think a life cycle, I think every sort of inspired life cycle has 10 years. I don't know why, but it's just like, maybe it's just my own personal experience. I have a full maybe 10 years to do something that I love, and to do it with the veracity that I'm going to do it with, and eat every morsel of it. And then after that, like, you know, I'm inspired. I'm probably already inspired to do something else, because of it's a building block. So I'm on to the next thing, but it looks much like, you know, the previous thing. So yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting is like in the space you're in and the way you've designed it, you don't rely on gimmicks. I think the last decade or two, as co-working was becoming a thing, it was like, oh, there's a game room, we have a slide, oh, and on the roof there's a trampoline. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's always some kind of like gimmicky silliness to like, wow, how iconoclastic we are. You guys kind of drop that, I don't know, as if it's sophomoric or not, doesn't add value per se, and you replace it, I think, with mechanisms for connection.
Well, some of that inspiration actually comes from, and I'm not sure if I think it came from Charlie probably, but he's like, no finance bros, none of that, like no beer kegs, no beer kegs. It's kind of this.
Right.
So we sort of build everything around that notion. No beer kegs, like no, you know, wine and cheese. Okay, beer kegs, not okay, because we didn't want this. I don't know what whoever's looking for.
The broy vibe is, yeah, sure. I don't see that there. It's much more kind of work hard, play hard. You guys really have a really special culture, a special vibe. I'm thrilled to be a part of it. I love hanging out there, and I don't hang out as much as I'd like to, because I get no work done. Because when I'm there, I tell people it's like going to the country club.
The opposite of what we're going for.
I know. I see everybody I know. I want to catch up, so I hang out here to get work done, and then I go there a couple days a week. But what's next for you guys? You're doubling your space. You're more than doubling. You have a dedicated event space. You've doubled desks. Where does Hatchworks Coworking, Sean, Erika, as an event aficionados, where do y'all go in 5 and 10 years from now?
You called Sean the mayor a few times. I'm not so sure I want him to get into politics.
He calls me the prince of startups. So
I
thought it was startup.
I did like David Davenport, who called me the crown prince of capitalism. I go by startup daddy. He likes crown prince of capitalism. All right. But like, I think if every coworker in the region, I think if every remote worker, a digital nomad, suddenly want to get a desk, there's no way, given the existing capacity at Hatch Coworking, every other coworking space in the region, like there's not enough capacity. I think you'd be out of desks. Everyone would be out of desks. So given the in-migration happening, the trends in our area, what do you think is going to be next for Hatch Coworking?
We have looked at other locations. That's been something to think through. Charlie has put in all of the supports for this building to go up, but construction-wise, I don't know what that would look like. There's so much growth around this building and development planned. Mm-hmm. It's so exciting to see. So it's hard to say what the future will hold, Jeff. But we walk every day in faith, and yeah.
We still don't know what the secret sauce is, you know, because anybody can make a hamburger, but, you know, anybody can make a great hamburger, but can you make a great system? So I think building this as a system, I still don't know what the magic sauce is.
Sure. You're talking about scalability.
Yeah.
How do you scale what you've done so well under one roof? Yeah, one of the biggest roofs in downtown. But
Yes.
how do you scale that? Well, when you figure it out, come on back to the show and we'll talk some more ship. As tradition, Jay Walker gets the last question. Jay Walker, hit him with a hard one.
Okay, yeah, this will be really tough. We talked a bit at the beginning about how you are a power couple. What's it like working together?
It's a great question.
We have a lot of fun. Of course we fight like everyone, and there's different issues to fight about because it's like, budget for the parties maybe, or that sort of thing. We hold date night pretty sacred, I would say. We have like date night once a week because we're surrounded by people constantly. So we have to making sure that we make time for just the two of us is just wildly important. And that's when we go to Vinny's.
Yeah.
That's how we got Josh
Don't
and
tell
Will.
anyone. Because
That's
we
how
have
you
date
get
time.
those guys.
Don't let anybody know.
It's only on a podcast. It's okay.
Who listens to this?
Only the Irish.
For me, I can't imagine not working with Erika
Mm-hmm.
at this point. I just wouldn't feel comfortable, wouldn't feel great. But I've never had a partnership like this before where she's a life partner. She's, my love interest, my inspiration. So, and all that sounds cheesy and cliche, but it's really not. Like, she is all of these things at once. So yeah, it's really,
Aw, come back for our Valentine's Day episode.
yeah.
Well, Sean Comeaux, Erika Gifford, the power couple at Hatch Coworking. Come visit them at 45 South French Broad. Come to 1 Million Cups. Thank you so much for the community you're building here and for talking ship with us today.
Thank you guys. We love you.
Thanks.
Besos.
Bye.